settled for me. I appreciate you guys being here. A couple of ground rules, let's set expectations. We always do that. You guys do a great job, especially you guys as upperclassmen now. So this is kind of the old drill for you, but add some hoods off, cell phones off and away in your pocket, earbuds, headphones off of your head, off of them, not off your ears, off of your head. All of you. I'll call you out, I don't want to do that. 11th, 12th graders, we generally don't do that. You guys figure it out by 9th and 10th graders. But if you're sleeping here, if you're being a distraction, you will leave, okay? The reason is, the message today is very, very important. All right, I ask this question a lot. What's the purpose of this high school experience? If I were to ask you, I'll give a variety of answers. Some of you would say college, prepare for college. Some of you would say I'm forced to be here. Some of you would say to figure myself out, learn my skills academically. I think all those are correct, but I think that the most simple definition of why we're here, why we go to high school, is to prepare for life after high school. Right? So you have a plan so that when you walk out of here. But I firmly believe that education is holistic in nature. That I've done you a disservice, that these teachers, these administrators, and these support staff have done you a disservice if we're not preparing you for multiple facets of your life. Right? Overwhelmingly, that's academic. Right? That's where the majority of our time is spent on teaching and learning. We have an academic program that is very to meet the needs of all of our kids. We have post-secondary plans that fit the needs of all of our students. 4-year, 2-year, military, job force, all those things. We have the tools to prepare you for life after high school academically. But we place a premium on those other pieces as well, right? Employability skills, making sure you present well, so I'll have mock interviews, job fairs, all these things. Life skills, that's why we have a very rigorous and very good career tech education program. That's why we started driver's education. All these things. We want to give you everything that we have so when you walk out of here, you're successful when you're done in life. So today we need to talk about something that's very serious, and I take this very serious, all right? Because you guys are going to be put in positions where you have to make decisions, all right? That could very much alter the course of your life, all right? We have a lot of celebrations coming up. Prom, graduation, senior field day, all of these things. It's a tremendous celebration, and it's great to be celebrated. But I'm imploring with you to make good decisions. I sat in the same room with you guys when I was 17, 18 years old. I heard the same speeches. And I remember my response. Felt like I was invincible. That couldn't be me. I've got some years under my belt, and unfortunately my life has been touched by people that have made poor decisions. All right? My childhood best friend died when he was 15 years old in a car accident. The driver wasn't impaired. All right? I've been affected by people that have, one of my college buddies, same thing. They crashed the car. His best friend was driving, left him to die. All right? He got out and is alive by a miracle. All right? He goes around and shares his testimony. So guys, I have experience under my belt. The people here that are going to share with you have experience under their belt, and they have perspective that you can learn from. So we have two great speakers. First, we've got Corporals Cardell and Detweiler. They're going to come talk about some things that are very, very important. I want your attention. I want you to pay attention. And after that, we have somebody that has a great testimony as well. Ms. Hamrick, she's going to speak as well, and is going to share her story as well. So, for the next 40 minutes, I want your undivided attention. All right? I want your undivided attention. I want you paying attention, because the message that's going to be shared here today is very, very important. This time, I do want to call up Corporals Detweiler and Cardell. Give them a round of applause. They're going to talk to you a little bit.
Hey guys, most of you know I'm Corporal Cardell. I'm here Monday through Friday. We brought Corporal Detweiler. He's our corporal in our traffic unit. He's well versed in writing tickets, working wrecks, and investigating DUIs. He's gone to several classes, probably more than I can count. He teaches classes specifically on DUIs, working wrecks. I just took a class from him, I think last week, on working DUI. So he's got a lot of good information he's about to give you in this presentation. Pay attention. Guys, we're not privy to what happens during prom graduation, okay? We know that you guys are going to have some difficult decisions to make before, during, after prom, after these big events. We know most of you are going to drive to prom. We're lucky to have it here on our campus. It's close by, it's local. be smart with your decisions, okay? Corporal Detweiler is going to go over some things, some deaths that happen, not only you, if you're behind the wheel, but even if another car, you know, is driving impaired, and what to look for on the roadway. So give him your undivided attention. He's got a lot of good information for you, and just give him a round of applause.
Hey guys, like Corporal Cardell said, you guys can call me Daniel, Corporal Detweiler. I'm going to talk to you guys about some things that have to do with drinking and driving. Like he said, we've been there and we've done that. I don't want y'all just to think that I'm the police officer that's coming up here and talking to y'all because that's what police officers do. We actually care about y'all. I'm the one who works these bad crashes. I don't want to see y'all's faces involved in these crashes. I don't want to have to be the person that's got to notify y'all's families that somebody's been seriously hurt, or one of y'all's been killed, due to something y'all been involved in. So this is going to be more of a conversation. It's not going to be a lecture. I'm just going to tell y'all what it is. Y'all are growing up. You're going to start making adult decisions, and you're going to have a lot more responsibility these next few years in your life. It's just going to get more and more and more responsibility as you go. So you're going to make your own decisions. I'm just going to tell you some of the things that need to influence those decisions that you make. So first, I'm going to talk about why we're here today. If you look in 2021 in the state of Georgia, there were 745 murders. So 745 people were killed being murdered in 2021. I pulled these stats on Monday of this week, and in 2021 there were 1,827 people who were killed in a car crash. So everyone's always worried, oh, you know, what if I go here, I might get murdered, you know, this might happen to me. But what people don't think about is something that's much more likely to happen being behind the wheel of a car. A lot more people die in car crashes than murders in the whole state. You can see it's more than double the number there. So across the U.S. in 2020, there are 11,654 fatalities. 30% of those fatalities involve people who are under the influence of alcohol. So that equates to 32 people dying every day and about one person every 45 minutes. So just during this conversation we're having today, that's one person who's probably going to die in a crash from someone who's under the influence of alcohol. So when we talk about the numbers on the last slide, you know, 1,827 traffic deaths in Georgia. Across the U.S., we're looking at 11,000. So, you know, there's 50 states, 11,000, we've got 1,800 in Georgia. It's not split up evenly over 50 states. A lot of those do happen in Georgia. So, there's a lot of rumors that happen about, you know, what is a DUI? You know, somebody told me this, I heard this rumor about this. I'm a very factual person, and I want y'all to know the truth, and if someone's going to give me an answer, I want to know where it comes from. So this comes from Georgia law. So what DUI is actually is any person shall not drive or be in actual physical control of a moving vehicle. Physical control. Somebody in the passenger seat, if they reach over and snatch the steering wheel, they're in physical control of that car. So even if your driver's sober and you've got someone in the passenger seat who's been drinking and they reach over and snatch the wheel or something like that, they're DUI as well. So the person can't do it to the extent that they're less safe to drive under the influence of alcohol. So in that, you don't hear me talk about any numbers or anything like that. So alcohol it'll impair you. And any extent that you're less safe to drive. So after somebody has a drink, 2 drinks, if they start acting in a way that they're less safe to drive, you can be arrested for DUI for that. There doesn't have to be any kind of number associated with it. You just have to be able to be impaired by alcohol to the extent that it affects your driving. Any drug to the extent that it's less safe to drive. You know? Marijuana is something that people are doing a lot of. It's still not legal here in Georgia. And some people don't think that it affects how they drive, but it does. I work these crashes. People are killed because they've been smoking and driving. They may not realize it because doesn't affect you the same way, exact way that alcohol does, but it still impairs you. Any combination of those two. Someone smokes a little weed, someone drinks a little bit, it can be DUI if you've done more than one of those together. So someone who's under 21, that's all y'all, cannot have a blood alcohol concentration of 0.02 grams or more alcohol content in their body. Someone who's at or above 21 is 0.08. So we'll talk about those numbers for a second. So that 0.02 for y'all, especially y'all being younger, none of y'all have ever drank before, I'm sure. Y'all's bodies aren't as equipped in processing alcohol as someone who's only 80. So just about one drink will put y'all over that 0.02 amount, depending on your body weight, whether you're male or female. A lot of those things affect that. But just think that one drink is enough for y'all to be over that 0.02 limit. It's zero tolerance, you're under 21. Some of the things that alcohol affects is information processing. So you gotta be able to process information when you're driving a car, right? You gotta be able to read street signs, watch Waze on your GPS, on your phone. You got to be able to realize if a car in front of you is slowing down, if they're speeding up, know what the speed limit is. So having something that you're taking into your body and it's affecting those things is something you don't want to do when you're driving a car. Short-term memory. People who start drinking start forgetting things that they do. They forget where they put things. You may say they forget to get their kid out of the back of the car, something like that. So short-term memory is affected by alcohol. Judgment and decision-making, making the decision to even get behind the wheel. So there's something called the Melanie effect. I'm not going to go over y'all's heads too far. But when people start drinking, you start at a zero. If you start drinking a little bit, you obviously start going up. You're going to get to that 0.02, 0.08 number at some point. So when people get there the first time, they're like, oh, well, I kind of feel a little bit messed up. I probably shouldn't drive like this. Then they keep drinking, they get a little bit higher, and then they stop drinking. They're like, okay, I'm going to wait it out a little bit. Then it starts going back down. It's not immediate. It takes a lot of time for you to go back to a zero after you've been drinking. So once it starts going back down, people are making that decision to drive based off how they felt at the high end of that. At the beginning, when they felt that 02, 08 number, they're like, oh man, I shouldn't drive, because they were comparing that to zeros. But on the way back down, a lot of people feel, oh, I feel so much better now, I feel like I could drive. You can't. You're just comparing that feeling to how you felt when you were much drunker. So you're not comparing it to that zero anymore, you're comparing it to that top number. And that's where we see a lot of people driving. Most people are smart enough to know, like, when they first start drinking, they don't, they know they're not supposed to drive like that. So a lot of the people we see who are drinking and driving don't realize how long it takes your body to actually burn that off to bring you back down to a zero. So just know that it affects you for a long time, and a lot of people on the way down are a lot more prone to drive, but you're still as intoxicated on the way up as you are on the way down. Your balance. You gotta have balance to be able to get in the car, hold yourself upright going around the curves. Some people are so intoxicated, they'll turn, we talked about memory loss, they're not putting on their seatbelts, they'll slide over into the passenger seat. You gotta have good reactions, right? Car slams on the brakes in front of you, gotta stop. Kid walks out in the road. Kids don't always look both ways when they go in the street. Everybody knows you see that ball bouncing into the road. What's the first thing you need to do? Hit your brakes, because there's probably going to be a kid who goes running after it. But when you're drinking, people don't normally have those sure reactions. Your vision's affected. One of the things we check for when we're running from through field sobriety is somewhat of a vision test. We're looking at people's eyes. And as you drink, the muscles in your eyes are affected by it. And just you're looking side to side, it's delayed. You don't have that smooth look left and right. Your eyes jump. So as your eyes jump, they don't track things smoothly. So if you're trying to look at a car to see if they're going to stop at a stop sign or if they're going to go through a red light, it's a lot harder to see because your eyes they can't track, because those muscles in your eyes are affected by alcohol. Small muscle control. pretty much everything with a car is small muscle control. You got to lift your foot and hit the gas, lift your foot and hit the brake, move the steering wheel, move your blinkers, shift what gears you're in, a lot of different things. Coordination of limbs, that goes hands in hand with, having to move your foot from gas to brake. So, let's talk about drugs for a second. Everybody thinks of drugs, they think about weed, think about meth, cocaine, all those different kinds of hard drugs. But this is the definition of drug when we're looking at somebody who's been driving. Any substance that when taken into the human body can impair the ability of the person to operate a vehicle safely. Anybody see in there where it says illegal? Doesn't say any illegal drug, right? It says any substance. So there's a lot of things people can take into their body and they get confused by, well, I wasn't taking anything illegal, so I can't be DUI on it. Sleeping pills. Sleeping pills are illegal, right? Do you want somebody who's behind the wheel that's had a bunch of sleeping pills? They're not going to be a good driver. But a lot of those things affect your body just like alcohol does. These vape pens, the ones that got THC in them or CBD oils, that kind of stuff can impair you as well. It's not just, straight marijuana, your delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC is what it stands for y'all that don't know. But those vape pens and stuff that y'all can get at the gas stations or whatever, y'all aren't supposed to do that either. I'm sure no one has one in here. But just keep in mind that kind of stuff can affect y'all as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the consequences. What do y'all think the number one consequences of DUI is? Getting arrested? No. It's dying. If you're dead, what else do you have? Nothing. A lot of reaction on that, I guess. Death. Being seriously hurt. Not only can you die, which is the end of everything, but you get seriously hurt. The rest of your life, the rest of somebody else's life could permanently be affected by decisions you made to drink and drive. You could lose arms, legs, the ability to get around at all. All of that can be affected by a decision that you've made to either drive or get in a car with somebody who's been drinking and driving. Just because you're sober and you get in a car with somebody who's been drinking doesn't mean you're just safe because you're not going to get arrested for DUI because you're in the passenger seat. They can still kill you. Just because you're not the one who's driving, something can still happen to you. And, it's not going to make your family feel any better that, my son, my daughter, well, at least they weren't the one driving. They're not going to care because you're going to be dead. So, it's very important that y'all don't ride in the car with somebody who's been drinking as well. You have criminal charges for DUI, these amount. They compound. So the more times somebody gets arrested for DUI, the harsher the punishment gets. It even gets to the point where somebody can get arrested for DUI and it's a felony. Criminal charges, that affects, things like driver's license, jobs that you can get. A lot of your jobs, you gotta be able to drive to get to them. Some jobs you gotta be able to drive on the clock to be able to perform your duties. So getting DUIs can affect not only your driver's license, but you criminally. You ever try to go to Canada? Someone who's been arrested for DUI, they won't let you in. You can't even go into Canada if you've got a criminal record for DUI. Fines, thousands upon thousands of dollars in fines, as well as attorney's fees. Those people who try to fight a DUI are looking at about $10,000 between attorney's fees, court costs. That's your typical cost to be able to be adequately represented for a DUI charge. Not a lot of people have 10 grand to spare, especially, your car's been messed up or whatever because you've been in a wreck. You've lost your job because you don't have a driver's license. You've got a criminal record now, and then now all of a sudden you've got to come up with $10,000 to pay for an attorney. A lot of things that come from a bad decision. Talking about bad decisions is if you're DUI, we talked about just that less safe. You've had a couple things to drink and it affects you. You hit somebody just because you ran a red light. you've been drinking, that person dies, you're looking to be in charge of homicide. So not only are you getting charged with DUI at that point, you're basically getting charged with the vehicle equivalent of murder. Because a car is a weapon, just like anything else can be. It's big, moves fast, it's heavy, it can kill somebody. So if you have a couple of drinks and you drive and you hit somebody else, that's something that's gonna affect you the rest of your life, because you're gonna be in prison. You're not killed yourself. Same thing with serious injury. If you do that and somebody breaks a femur, they break some really hard bone that's gonna affect their life, you're still looking at felony charges for causing serious injury to somebody because you've been drinking and had a couple of drinks. So, what are some alternatives? First one is, don't drink. That's what I want to tell y'all. Don't drink. But we're not. We've been there as well. For those of y'all who are going to listen to what I'm telling you one ear and out the other, and don't want to listen to me when I say don't drink. Some of y'all drink. Whatever you do, don't drive. Don't get in the car with somebody who's also been drinking. So if y'all want to not take anything away from what I said today, if you're going to just do your own thing and you want to drink, whatever you do, don't get behind the car. Call a ride. You've got to call your parents. They're going to be less mad that you had to call them and ask for a ride if you've been drinking than if they have me come and knock on their door and tell them that y'all need to. Because that's what we have to do. That's one of my least favorite things to do, is have to go knock on someone's door in the middle of the night, sit them down on their sofa and say, hey, I'm sorry, your daughter's not coming home tonight. She's been involved in a crash and she's been killed because she's been drinking. So they would rather get that phone call from you, and you show that level of maturity that you shouldn't be driving, or you're going to ride with somebody who you didn't think was going to be drinking. They're going to look at you as being responsible for making that decision. Luckily, we also live in a day where you've got things like Uber, Lyft, you got taxis around here. Use those kind of things to your advantage, especially as you get older and you do start drinking. Use these kind of things. It's definitely a smarter way to go. You heard $10,000 for a DUI, plus all the criminal stuff that can happen. Uber or Lyft costs you maybe $20 around town. So like I said, being a passenger in a car with someone who's intoxicated is just as dangerous as being the driver yourself. Anybody by show of hands have any questions? No?
One more round of applause for both. Hope we're good today. Again, guys, that's the world they live in. They have experience. Okay, you guys heed their warnings. Guys, we talked about drunk driving. If I were to ask you to raise your hand and say who drives drunk regularly, I would hope nobody. But if I were to ask you to raise your hand and say who texts and drives or who talks on the phone and drives, that may be a large portion of it. Right? And distracted driving can be just as dangerous. So again, if you get behind the wheel of a car, your undivided attention needs to be on the road. Speaking of undivided attention, we have one more speaker. All right, you guys have done a great job. I need you to continue to do a great job. Ms. Jennifer Hamrick has a message for us today, so please give her a round of applause as she comes up.
Hey you guys, my name is Jennifer Hamrick, and I'm here to tell you my story. April 22nd, 2018, I went up to the Dollar General on Noonan Road, real quick, just to get some oregano. My dad was making a batch of chili, and they carry this sweetener that he likes. So I was like, I'll be right back. My husband was home, our kids were there. I was just like, I'm going out real quick. I don't remember any of that. That's just what I've been told, because I never came back. I didn't come home from Dollar General because I was hit by a drunk driver. That's what the front of my car looks like. Well, looked like. That's the passenger seat. And you can see that there's actually no back to it. And that's because I was coming back on Horsley Mill, and it was raining outside. I don't remember that. It was raining outside, and a truck with a driver who had been drinking lost control, overcorrected, slid sideways across the road, and I hit him. I guess I T-boned him because I didn't really hit him head on. I had no chance to stop or do anything. I wondered for a really long time if I tried to drive defensively like my dad had taught me all those years ago when I first started learning how to drive. And I was told no, I had no chance to respond. Nothing. I remember a rainbow-colored flash of light, and then I remember waking up and looking around and seeing flashing lights everywhere, and wondering why my hand was sitting funny on my arm, and I couldn't move it. And I'm spitting out my teeth, and I'm looking around, and I hear somebody tell me, "Hang on, we're coming to get you." And I said, "Okay." That's it. That's all I've got. That was a Sunday. 3 days later, I wake up in the ICU at Grady, where I was driven by ambulance because I couldn't be life flighted because the weather was too bad. My daddy is standing over me, my husband's sitting next to me, and my daddy tells me, "You've been in a wreck, but you're gonna be okay." And I thought, okay, well, that must be true because that's what my daddy said. And then I went back to sleep. I had 88 broken bones. 88. Yes, you heard that correctly. It broke both my legs. I had a tib-fib fracture in one. It pulverized my ankle. My foot was stuck underneath the pedals, and the firefighter who saved my life had to yank it out. My left arm was broken. It broke 15 ribs, 7 on one side, 8 on the other. It broke my left collarbone, my sternum, my right scapula, everything but basically my right hand, my hips, and my spine. Everything else was broken. So of course, I had like no memory of that either. My dad sent my husband out to look for me, and they came upon the wreck as it had been cleared. And he had my youngest son with him, who was 8 at the time. And they thought I was dead. They came upon the wreck and thought I was dead. The firefighter told my husband, he said, "No, she was conscious, she was talking. We sent her to Grady." So he took my son home and drove to Grady. When he got there, I was in the trauma room, and they were trying to stabilize me because of all the broken bones and shock and everything else. I lost a lot of blood. I had to be given, I don't even remember how many units of it, because I don't know, they just told me. My husband's first view of me laying on the table with my foot sitting next to my leg, and he thought they'd had to amputate it. Yeah, it was a lot. So they could not take me into surgery right away because my blood pressure wouldn't stabilize. So they had to try to stabilize that first. And it's not like it's when they show you TV shows where they just rush you back to surgery. They couldn't do that because they couldn't get me stabilized. So they had to set all of my broken bones by just giving me localized pain meds, like shots. That's how they set all those broken bones that they could get to. The next day is when they started the surgeries, and they were extensive. By the time I was done, there was 9 of them. And I'm still, by the time I was done with that, I'm not done. I will have to go back and have both my knees replaced, but they're not sure if they can do the wending. I'll explain that in a second. So it was a lot. I spent 30 days in Grady. I had an X-Fix. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Does anybody know what that is? No? Okay. I got a picture. That is my husband and me in Grady. That is where you can see I have a cast because I have a soft cast on my arm. And then you can't really see it, but there's like tents right there. That's where the X6s were on my leg. That's an X6. Yep. I had that on there from April until, I think the middle of July maybe. I couldn't feel it, I couldn't tell what it was, but I couldn't walk and I couldn't move. And I had to learn how to transfer from the hospital bed to my wheelchair because I couldn't walk. And so I had to use like a slide board, and they would not let me out of the hospital until I could do that on my own. So I learned how to slide myself down, and then I had to wait for my leg to heal because you can see like down on the bottom, that's where my ankle was, and I don't have one of those anymore. There's actually a cadaver bone in there now. I call it my ankle because it's my fake ankle, and I just think that's funny. And yeah, sorry, that's a lot. I got sidetracked. I couldn't do anything. So I lived on my couch for a year, almost a year, because I couldn't get in my wheelchair and get it into my room because I couldn't stand up and walk. I had to learn how to walk again, and we actually weren't even sure that I would be able to. And I had to accept that. Like, I had to accept that I might not ever walk again. I had to accept that I might lose that leg because he wasn't even sure he could save it, the doctor. I had 4 teams of doctors. I had a trauma team, an ortho team, a plastic surgery team, and then like a generalized team of something. I don't remember that one. Because the damage was just so expensive. So I have spent the last almost 5 years learning how to do things again, learning how to walk. I walk with a limp because one of my legs, this leg, is a 1/4 inch shorter than the other. I have PTSD and anxiety. I take meds for both because I just could not function. I would get triggered in the car by pretty much anything. I mean, all sorts of things. Just being in the car, if people cross over the line, if people are too close, if people slam on the brakes. And finally, I scared the ever-living life out of my husband, and he's like, we need to talk to your doctor. You need to get something so that you can be human again, I guess, for lack of a better word. So, you know, you hear people talk about all the time, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive, make good choices. This is why this was not a choice that I made. I don't want this to happen to anyone, ever. Because I would never wish this on anyone. This is hard, okay? My brain does not work like it used to. I have entire portions of my life that are gone. Like, I can't remember what happened. Things that happened in my children's childhood, it's just gone. It's not there anymore. I don't recognize people's names and faces. People will come up to me in the grocery store and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? No. And I'm like, hey, trying to have a conversation. I have no idea who these people are. Not one clue. I mean, I guess it's somebody I know, but like I can't introduce them to my husband because I am drawing a complete blank. So I have to try to kind of, gently remind people every once in a while that my brain doesn't work the same way it used to. So I need you to kind of throw me a bone and maybe help me out a little bit. I missed out on so much of my children's high school careers, dances, first days of school, everything. I could not get out of my house. I have a split foyer, and I could not get up and down the stairs for a really long time. Like, I can do it now, but you saw me walk. I gotta go up one, and you see me, I gotta go down one. Like, I can't go up and down them. That's how I have to do it. And I can't go up this one because there's no handrail. And I mean, I can like step up on a curb, but I'm a little wobbly. So it's not something I try to do if I can avoid it. But I had somebody that I was looking up to get a foundation, and they built a ramp, a handicap ramp outside my house, and it was fantastic. But until then, I had to rely on the fire department to get me in and out of the house for doctor's appointments. And they told me, they said, we're happy to come get you if you want to go somewhere. And I was like, no, we're good. because I had to get into I forget what it's called. It looks like a little thing they put on the ground, they stick you in it, and they lift you up. It's like a foldable, I can't think of the word. Stretcher, thank you. It's like a foldable stretcher. So I had to get in it, and they had to carry me up and down. And then they got the bright idea that they could just do it with my wheelchair. And I was like, okay, that's cool, that's gonna work. Because I had to go up the stairs to get me into the house, and then up my stairs to get me into the living room and onto the couch where I stayed. Except for this one guy got a little carried away one time and kind of yanked me and almost knocked me out of it. And I kind of got to second base with the firefighter that I knew, completely unintentionally, but that's probably like a whole nother story too, so. They couldn't do that anymore. So of course, I'm telling the one guy, because I've seen this one guy, and we're like really good friends now, and I keep seeing him, and I'm trying to tell him the story of what happened, and I'm exaggerating and telling him all this great stuff, and didn't realize that the guy I was telling it to was the fire chief, and he was not amused by the story at all, because they're not supposed to do that, so that was a good little story, but yes, so do not drink and drive. Don't get behind the wheel. Don't get into a car with someone who has been drinking and driving. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. None of it is worth it. Because it isn't just you, somebody else. You could do this to somebody else, and I need this to be fresh in your mind, and I need you to think, okay, this is not good. I should not be doing this. So, I think that's it, yes? Okay. Thanks, you guys, I appreciate it.
So again, if I can just summarize quickly, all right? You guys are coming upon a season of celebration. We've got a lot of great events coming up, the end of the year, the summer, as we move forward. I implore you, make good decisions, all right? If you put yourself in a situation, right, where you're gonna have to get behind the wheel of a car impaired or with somebody that is impaired, I'm telling you, call your parents, call your trusted adults, call your family members, all right? Call me if I can come get you or one of these others, or what you're teaching. What I'm trying to say here is that the adults in your life would rather come pick you up and have a hard conversation and get you home safe than to go to the hospital, all right? All right, when we ring the bell, we are going to go to second block. We're going to be in a advisory schedule after that. It should ring momentarily, all right? You guys, when the bell rings, you will be released. You go to second block. We have advisory the rest of the day. Thank you. Thank you guys for your attention.